Welcome to the We Got You Covered podcast. Chase Shelton and Parker Turley, Ep.4. Chase, another great week of high school football. How are you doing today?
I'm good. It was a good week, not only for high school football, but just football. NFL came back, college was here. So if you're just a football fan, it all starts on Thursday, ends on Monday, technically. But as far as the high school, very good week. We have another great week coming.
Yeah, it's just a great week of football. Just Thursday to Monday, like you said, it's just great to see. And we have our Friday Night Glory Player of the Week award, Landon Chambers of Keller Fossil Ridge, 188 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns, also 3 catches for 42 yards and a touchdown. So 4 total touchdowns over 240 total yards in the game. Just a great performance by him. He's really racking up the yardage, and he's one of the top running backs in the state as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, you had Keller versus LD Bell last week. Just talk about what that game was like. I know it was 34-0, Keller with the shutout, but what do you see from Keller? What do you think the potential for this team is this year?
Yeah, I was going into the game. I also did it with the other reporter, Colby Meeks. It was fun, but I kind of was going in there expecting Keller to win this game. I didn't really maybe expect a blowout, but they did what they were supposed to do. They looked really good on both sides of the field. Their O-line looked really well. They gave their running back many holes to run through, gave their quarterback plenty of time. And then on the defense, a shutout, is always great, and no matter who you're playing. The thing I like about Keller, though, is they're not one of these flashy teams. They don't, as far as I know, don't have any big recruits. They might have a couple of 3-star guys, but they're not like Southlake or Rockwall or, any of these big schools who have multi-talented athletes. They've just got a bunch of, low recruit guys that play well as a team. And at the end of the day, though, football is a team sport. So off to a great start, 3-0. They have North Mesquite this week, which I believe they could win. And then next week they have Keller Central. So they're looking at a possible 5-0 start before they play Southlake. And then Fossil Ridge, which of course is going to be their toughest matchups. But the good thing about a good start is it gives them confidence. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised to see this team maybe finish in the top 3 of their district, sneak into the playoffs. And as we watched in the past, anything can happen. This is a young team that, like I said, play well as a team. They have a great student section. I know that doesn't relate maybe to football, but when you got your fans and your classmates there, it just all feels complete. So, yeah, this Keller team is very exciting, and I think they should kind of be on a lookout for some of these other teams.
Well, it just creates a great atmosphere when you have a great student section and a great team, support. Also, there are a lot of great performances this week in Texas high school football. It just seems like each week there's just another ridiculous performance. So a couple guys I'm gonna list great performances. Braden Locke of Rockwall picking apart the Lake Travis defense, 506 yards, 5 touchdowns. There's nothing else you can really say about this guy. He's just phenomenal. His receiver as well, Noble Johnson. Oh, wow. He's a stud. There's this video that's gone viral of him just bullying a defender and, going past him. And some people are like, that's pass interference. That's just being physical. They're 5 yards within the line of scrimmage. He can do whatever he wants. So, 200 receiving yards, 4 receiving touchdowns for him. That's a deadly duo for the Rockwall Yellow Jackets. And, another guy that stood out to me, Sergio Perez, again for Garland, another 5-touchdown game. Over 300 yards for the 3rd straight week. He is just putting on a clinic with Jordan Hudson, his 5-star receiver, who was over 100 yards and 3 touchdowns this week. Just a phenomenal stat line for both of those guys. So who are some of your top performers that you saw last week?
Yeah, you kind of touched base on the first one earlier, Landon Chambers. One player of the week for Friday Night Glory, but like you said, over 188 yards, 3 touchdowns just running, under 20. He had 19 carries. So, I mean, that's just an impressive win. And it was in a good game, a 49-42 victory over Arlington. So, without that performance, Foster Ridge probably would have not won that game. Another guy I had, I want to give a little shout out to some defense. Damon Youngblood, the McKinney safety, 3 picks. One of them was a pick six in a 35-9 victory over Rowett. Of course, anybody's going to tell you defense wins ball games. Right there, I mean, he accumulated for 7 of the points, and then I'm not sure how they did on the other 2 picks. They scored on the drives, but still, it messes with a quarterback. He doesn't want to throw where Damon's at, but as a safety, he's kind of all over the field. So that was a great standout. And then, of course, you just said it, Noble Johnson, 12 catches, 249 yards, 4 touchdowns, has gone viral because of that, we'll say questionable play, but very aggressive. I actually don't think it was pass interference, but I've looked at his Twitter, and I think in the past 48 hours, he's gotten like 5 offers, which is just crazy. I'm not saying maybe because of that play, but he's had a great high school career. But it just also shows these kids that, these colleges are looking at you. And when you ball out like that and you can make an exceptional play, that catches their attention. So, yeah, those are some of the guys that kind of stuck out to me. There was plenty of them. I mean, Ollie Gordon had over 200 yards rushing as a quarterback. We mentioned it at the beginning of the season that he's not going to really be a quarterback. He's just going to be lined up in that position, but still probably run the ball. So there was a lot of great performances. But, yeah, those are my top 3 that kind of stuck out to me this past week.
Yeah, those guys just put on clinics. I also want to give a shout out to the Southlake defense shutting Prosper out. That's just insane. With Dak Prescott in attendance, just impressive. They put on for the quarterback of the Cowboys, and it's just impressive to hold an offense like that to 0 points. Southlake, they didn't have that explosion on offense like you'd expect, but they didn't have to. Their defense kind of just led them to victory right there.
That will do it right there for you.
And so we have this is week 2 of our pick'ems. Last week, 7-5. I barely edged you out. You got the first 4 games correct, and then I struggled at the beginning. But I'm never betting against Ollie Gordon again. I've learned my lesson.
I told you. Hey,
but
I will say this: that Rockwall Lake Travis game, that was a great. That could have gone either or. All the games it could have gone either way. So, but I got you this week. I feel confident in my picks.
All right, we'll see. I got a lot of good games lined up. So the first one we'll start off with. So we're going to have people here at this game. Me and Peyton and Kobe are all going to be at this game. McKinney Boyd versus Trophy Club Byron Nelson. Both teams undefeated 3-0. Both teams going in to this matchup with a lot, 4-0 start on the line. Who do you have?
Yeah.
These are both 2 talented teams.
Yeah, no, I was kind of reviewing the schedule to kind of see what games I would want to do. And this was up there. Obviously, I'll have it. I'm going to take McKinney Boyd. It's going to be a close game, but the X factor, I'm just calling it right now, Carter Whitefield, the running back for McKinney Boyd. He's had a pretty good solid year. I think if he can do well against his Byron Nelson defense, that's going to kind of, if you can't stop the run, you're going to have trouble stopping the pass. McKinney Boyd is who I'm having to stay undefeated, but it's not going to be an easy matchup. Y'all are going to have a lot of good highlights, let's say, this week for that game.
I like Trophy Club Byron Nelson as a team, but McKinney Boyd's been impressive. They beat Grand Prairie a couple weeks back in that 28-21 ball game.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just going out there and they're just dominating the line of scrimmage. And I think that's where it's all going to start in this game. Can the offensive line of McKinney Boyd move that defensive line of Trophy Club Byron Nelson back? And if they can, I'm going to go with McKinney Boyd in this game as well. I think they have a little bit of an upper hand with that big offensive line. I think they can be physical, run the ball, but it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a close game. And Northwest ISD, always a great place to cover a game. Great atmosphere. So we're looking forward to that.
Oh yeah.
And so this next game, we got a little close game between these two teams. Garland versus Wylie, not too far from each other. Garland starts off 3-0. Wylie, they've had some struggles this season, but Garland's on off to a hot start with that duo of Perez and Hudson. So, who do you have winning this ball game?
Garland. Um, I think, I mean, no disrespect to Wylie. Hudson is one of the best players in the state. Perez has had back-to-back weeks of just dominance. And like you mentioned, they're undefeated. Any team that starts the season like this, it's in their head. They know it. They want to keep that momentum. I think that it's going to be – I think this is going to just go in Garland's favor. Again, no disrespect to Wylie, but those two guys are just very hard to stop. And yeah, I just think, I'm gonna pick Garland in this one by a good victory.
Garland, they're a great team. I love what they do, and I'll take them over Wylie as well. Sergio Perez, the last couple of years, they go from 2-8 to 4-6, and now you see them almost totaling the same amount of wins they had last season before district even starts. So Sergio Perez and Jordan Hudson, I believe, are one of the top duos in the state. I believe they're one of the top 5 duos. I can't put them ahead of Noble Johnson and Braden Locke yet.
Not yet.
Because those guys have been doing it for a long time at that level. And I just think Sergio Perez, he's found his rhythm. He's going to be impressive. That defensive line is very dangerous as well. They have talent, speed, and Coach Russell gets those guys going. Coach Russell, Garland alum, has that place playing, and it's always good to see a guy come back to their high school and have success. Especially a person who's a friend of my dad, so it's always good to see them having success. So I love the Garland Owls. I think they're going to be a dangerous team, and you've talked about there's some dangerous teams that could mess up the brackets in the playoffs come playoff time, like Louisville as well. I think Garland could be in the conversation with that too.
Easily. They're very under the radar, which I think they would like to keep it that way. So when playoffs do come, they will be making some noise. I will be calling that right now.
Definitely. And this next game we have, this one, Southlake versus Martin. Southlake Carroll versus the Martin Warriors. Martin, great win last week. Just a great win, 43-37 against a really good team. I mean, who do you have in this game?
So I'll be actually at this game. This one I'm very excited. I saw it at the beginning of the season, in the preseason. I was looking forward to it. You did mention, Martin had a good comeback win against Midland Legacy. And of course, every team likes that. It kind of rides into the next week. But Southlake has looked very dominant. I mean, they, 2 weeks ago, they had a close win against, can't believe who it was against, but I know they had a close win. They beat
Rockwall Heath.
Yes, Heath. Very close game, but they destroyed Highland Park. Last week, they had a very dominant victory over Prosper. And this defense is just, they're dominant. I've been saying it every week, but the defense is ridiculous. Problem with Southlake, though, is if they get ahead, they do not let you come back. Martin had a comeback victory. They're going to have to play 4 excellent quarters on both sides of the ball if they want to keep up with Southlake. Owen Allen is still one of the most underrated players, I think, in the state. Caden Anderson is still showing that they don't need Quinn Ewers to win ball game. I got Southlake, though. They're at Dragon Stadium, tough place to play at. The fans know that this is a top 15 matchup. And I'm taking Southlake.
Definitely. I like what Southlake's done. They're very physical at the point of attack. Offensive line is just tremendous. Owen Allen, it's hard to believe he's only a junior. We've been hearing his name for 3 years now and what he's been able to do, just the success he's had. And, he's a top two running back in the state, no doubt. I
And
mean,
no offers yet, as far as I know.
yeah, it's incredible to see that he has no offers. It's just mind boggling sometimes because, he's bench pressing Duncanville people last year. He's playing, physical. He's low to the ground and his center of gravity and balance is just, it's hard to teach that. And I think he's just one of those guys. He has that it factor that, makes him different than other running backs in the state of Texas for sure. And I'm going to go with Southlake in this game. They also have Cade Parks, defensive end, physical guy, really physical. Had a fumble recovery for a touchdown last week. He gets extension on you. It's over for that offensive line. But Martin's got a big offensive line. I like, this is going to be a great game for you to be at. But I got Southlake by a couple touchdowns. And so moving into the next pick, this one is an intriguing matchup. I think this is one of the more of the better matchups. Eaton versus Denton Braswell.
So this is a good matchup. I'm going to take Eaton, though. They have been pretty dominant, but there's a offensive lineman that, if you don't know who he is, you need to. Hunter Erb, the Texas A&M commit. I saw him at the USA Combine this summer or earlier this year. The dude is huge. Now, I'm not a big guy, but the dude is just a mean machine. And Eaton is, again, they're in a tough district. But I think just that offensive line alone will protect their quarterback a lot. And I have Eaton winning this game. It'll be a good
Yeah,
game, but I have Eaton.
yeah, I like what Eaton does. You mentioned Herb. He's a great player, really good kid as well, really physical. But I'm going to go with Denton Braswell. I think in this game, I think Denton Braswell's got they got a special core of coaches. He was offered another job a year or two back, and he stayed there. And obviously, they're off to a hot start. And I think they're going to ride it into this week. I think this matchup, this is one of the more the under radar of teams that can make noise in the playoffs. I think
Oh, yeah,
because
for sure.
Eaton 3 rounds deep last year, Braswell a couple years back made that run. So I'm going to go with Denton Braswell in a close one by 3 to 6 points.
It would be that could be a very like you said, under the radar team, but under the radar game. And when you think Denton, you think Ryan Guy or so. Braswell could make some noise.
Definitely. And speaking of Denton schools, this is probably the best game of the week. Humble Atascacita versus Denton Geyer. Humble
Yep.
Atascacita made a statement win, ending that long streak of the Allen Eagles winning at home, playing Denton Geyer, who they barely escaped that win a couple weeks against Denton Ryan. So who do you have in this game?
Yeah, this is by far the game of the week. They're, I think, ranked 4 and 5. I think Guy is right below them. But the game, as far as I know, is at is it a Pogge Stadium, the UNT football stadium. Uh, Denton Geyer has a linebacker named Vincent Page, who is committed to UNT, who I believe will be the X factor this game, and will help Geyer with the victory. This is two very dominant forces. If you have the chance to check this game out, you need to. But I have Geyer winning it. It's going to come down to the final couple minutes, I think. But I think the defense of Geyer is just too strong. They stopped Denton Ryan, who is arguably the best team in Texas for 5A. You can say Alito, but yeah, I've got Geyer in this one. Vincent Page, like I said, UNT commit. He's playing at a stadium that he's going to be at next year. It sounds dumb, but I think he's going to make a couple big plays. Geyer with the dub.
I like Vincent Page and what he does. He's forced a fumble for a touchdown earlier this season already. Real physical guy. He flies around to that football and makes plays. And yeah, I think it adds a little more juice to be playing in your college stadium. I think that just adds, I mean, I think that's just going to add and fuel him to do better just because, you're going to be amped up. You're playing in your home stadium. It's going to be really good to see. I'll go with Denton Geyer in a close one over humble Atascacita. And moving on to this next game, Rockwall versus Highland Park. This is Highland Park. They've rebounded after the South Lake Carroll game, but Braden Locke and Rockwall have caught fire. Um, last week just dominating in every facet of the game, over 700 yards of offense, which is just insane level of execution. So,
Versus Lake Travis.
executing their plays.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Who do you have in this game?
This is a tough one. Like you said, Rockwall last week had a very dominant win. Like I said, against Lake Travis, it wasn't like they're playing some, terrible team. They played a very dominant Cavaliers team. I'm gonna take Rockwall. Just the Braden Locke, Noble Johnson connection. That's gonna be very tough. But do not count Highland Park out. They have been known to make games, the last minute. Of course, their coach Allen is the GOAT of Texas high school football. They're at, I believe, Highlander Stadium in Highland Park. Tough place to play at, but I can't count Rockwall. I've kind of had Braden Locke maybe low on some of my radars, and he is not disappointed this year. I think Rockwall comes out with a pretty dominant victory. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be close, but I think they win by at least double digits.
I like Rockwall in this game as well. Noble Johnson and Braden Locke, one of the best combinations in the state, if not the country. So I like what they can do together. Highland Park's going to prepare a great game plan. They're not going to make it easy. They're going to give Locke different looks defensively. Coach Allen has a lot of schemes. I guarantee you, ready. I bet they're going to run a lot of twists with that defensive line. They like to do that, but I bet on the back end they'll have them ready to play. I think it'll be a physical ball game, but Rockwall by a couple touchdowns.
If Locke does not have any turnovers, I think this could be a very good game.
Definitely, 4 turnovers in the first week, none since then. So I think it looks like, and very good opponents they've played as well. So, if he just keeps doing what he's doing, they're going to be dangerous in the playoffs. And so I think, the next game, Duncanville, DeSoto. This is
two teams that hate each other.
Here.
Yeah, no, this is I've covered them last year. And when I tell you that these two teams do not like each other, last year they had a lot of that, Twitter beef, flood the gates. Duncanville, though, DeSoto, they lost a lot of key players, especially on that defense with Byron Murphy, Shamar Turner, Samari Collier, their quarterback. They're all in college now. Duncanville still has a lot of their key players back. Jordan Crook, Amari Aber. I've got Duncanville winning this game. They are a mean team. They, did look, they got beat up by Matadai first week, but they're still a very physical team. DeSoto, they've looked good, but they've had some struggling moments. There's a young team. Their receiving core is dangerous, but I still think Duncanville goes into DeSoto with a pretty big victory. I would love to see a close game, but Duncanville's defense is legit, and I think they win at least by a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah, Duncanville is just very dominant. DeSoto, in the couple games they've played this season, they're up and they're down. They're shaky at times, and times they look phenomenal. Obviously, I have Boogie Johnson, the Oregon commit that transferred from Lancaster. He adds to the depth they have, but I think the defense at Duncanville is too much. Omari Ogbor, like you said, and Jordan Crook. I'll take Duncanville in this game, but I think DeSoto and Cedar Hill this season, they lost a lot of guys, and they also lost a lot of coaches to other schools. Mm-hmm. So they may not be as sharp as they usually are, but they're going to come to play. They have a lot of talent just can they put that together in that tough district they're in as well. And so it's going to be really interesting. But like you said, I think Duncanville by a couple touchdowns as well. And so moving on to this next one. This next one interests me. These are both two teams. McKinney starting off this season undefeated. Sherman 2-1, had some really good wins. And these two schools, no love lost between them. They don't like each other. Not too far from each other. Sherman, they have a new head coach from Allen coming over to Sherman. I think the Bearcats have surprised some people to start this season. 2-1, beating some pretty good teams. So who do you have in this game, McKinney and Sherman?
It's going to be a good game. McKinney, like you did mention, they are undefeated, and that does feed into it. But the new head coach coming from Allen, he's, I believe, played against McKinney before. He kind of knows their scheme, how they play. But I'm taking Sherman in this one. I think they, you could say the upset. I think they pull it off in a good game. But yeah, I'm gonna take Sherman in a close matchup. I think it's going to come down to maybe 7 points, but I'm gonna take Sherman.
Bearcats have done a great job starting the season off. Defensively, I like the way they play, but McKinney, I think they're one of those under the radar teams as well that can make noise in the playoffs. They've had a really good offseason, a really good pre-district lineup. So I think I'm going to take McKinney in this game by 3 points. I think it's going to be a slim margin because Sherman, they play tough and they're just a hard team to beat, and they're going to shock a lot of people. I think we'll see them in the playoffs come November, and I think we'll see them playing a couple weeks at least, just because they're a scrappy team, and in Texas high school football, we both know that can make all the difference.
Oh yeah.
And so moving on, two more games. This is a lower division game. Gunter versus Pilot Point. Now, this is an intriguing matchup. Gunter, powerhouse. Pilot Point, 4 rounds deep last year. Who do you have in this game?
I have a good game. I haven't watched much of either. I know Pilot Point has Ish Harris as their running back, who's obviously one of the best running backs in the state. I believe he's committed to A&M, if I'm not mistaken. If not, I know he's highly recruited. But I'm going to take Gunter. They're just, I don't know, something about the powerhouse. And I don't know. I think Gunter pulls it off in a big victory. I think they stopped the run game. Pilot Point did go deep last year, but it's a new year. And I'm going to take Gunter in a double-digit victory.
Yeah, Gunter, it's just a Russian attack. They have that triple threat, that read option, keep it, pitch it. It's hard to defend, especially at that level. Pilot Point, great team, but I think Gunter gets it by a couple touchdowns. And so our last game, it's a game I found it intriguing, even though Lamar's 0-3. Prosper, I wanted to get Prosper in there. Prosper's trying to bounce back from Southlake. So who do you have in this game?
Yeah, I'm so sorry, Lamar fans, if you are watching this, but Prosper is going to win this. They got embarrassed by Southlake, respectively though. I mean, Southlake is not a scrub team. They everyone knows who they are. Lamar they have not found that quick yet. They are in a tough district. They've had a very tough schedule. I'm sure when the head coaching staff found out their schedule, he was excited, but he was probably like, well, damn, because, Louisville, Trinity, and now Prosper, all within the first 4 weeks. I'm taking Prosper in this one in a pretty good victory. I think they win, I'm going to say 3 touchdowns. It would be great to see Lamar, though, maybe pull off the upset and see if they can find that quick, because they have some pieces out there. But, yeah, Prosper is just – I think they're going to pull it off.
Yeah, I have Prosper by 3 touchdowns in this game. Prosper is going to bounce back. Harrison Rosar, their quarterback, will have a bounce back game, throw a couple touchdowns over 200 yards. I think he'll do good. It's always good to have a bounce back game before you start district play. So
Oh,
I think this is going to be a good one. And so that'll do it for our pick'ems. Any shout outs before we go?
I mean, I don't know if I can think. I know there's a game that you didn't pick on the pick, which is fine. But if anybody's looking for a good game to watch, Denison, Lovejoy, both undefeated. Denison's running back, 4-star commit to Notre Dame. Uh, it's going to be a good game. And Lovejoy's got a very great receiving core. They've had back to back, I believe, 60 points in both games, if I'm not mistaken, or over 50 points. But like I said, two undefeated teams that are going to go head to head. That will be a very fun matchup. A lot of good games though, and I'm just excited to see next Tuesday how our picks go. I know a lot of them are the same, but I'm hoping I can get undefeated this week. So we'll see. It'll be a very good week.
Yeah, it's going to be a great week, but I want to get to your point about Lovejoy. Dangerous team. Lovejoy's a really dangerous team. Almost beat Alita last year. And Ralph Rucker, QB3 at OU this year as a freshman, pretty impressive to earn that feat to travel. And so,
He uh, he had I believe he came in the last week. He had a couple passes. So like I was saying last week about these guys that make it, it's pretty cool for us to see them on TV and getting the national spotlight that they deserve. So, um, and I'm sure this year we're going to be seeing kids that will be on that stage next year. So,
it's pretty cool to watch. Some teammates I've played with in high school. I watch them every Saturday. Malik Knowles, 112 receiving yards on 4 catches, average of 30 yards a catch for K State. He just did a really good job, and shout out to him, but also a shout out to Noble Johnson and Braden Locke. Cannot say enough about the explosiveness from those two in the passing game. But also, it's just another great week. I hope I can edge you out in the picks, maybe. But those three games where we pick different teams could probably decide who takes this week going into the next week. So I'm
be
excited to
fun.
see what our picks. Go ahead and tell everybody where you'll be this week.
Yeah. So Martin, Southlake, uh, two top, I believe, 15, maybe top 10 teams in the state. It'll be a very good, brutal, just tough matchup. Uh, and like I said, I've never actually been to Dragon Stadium, but I've heard it's a fun atmosphere. So just excited to enjoy it. The weather hopefully stays cool like it is these past couple of days. So, uh, which always makes it fun when it's Friday night, 70, 80 degrees. Can't beat that. So that's where I'll be.
Definitely, you can't beat that in South Lake Carroll. Great people, great atmosphere. Also, great food up in that press box as well. So,
Oh, I'm
you know,
excited.
it'll be good for you to get there. Northwest ISD Stadium on Thursday. Me, Peyton, and Colby for that Trophy Club Byron Nelson versus McKinney Boyd matchup. That's going to be a good one. Very excited about that matchup, and it's going to be another great week, and we look forward to it. Chase, thank you for episode 4 of our show. We're getting this thing rolling. Episode 4. Appreciate you.
Sir. Yes, sir. I'll see y'all next week.
Yes, sir. We'll be signing out. Thank you all for tuning in. Subscribe to Friday Night Glory on YouTube as well as blogger.com, Friday Night Glory's account on there as well for all the information, all the updates. Thank you for tuning in. We're signing out.